to review the National Geographic magazine, the issue of February. Um, Long story short, again, what do you see on the cover? It's a big, huge image of a virus. With this pandemic and everything going on right now, a lot of the coverage of my favorite magazine is filled with viruses. I must admit, some of it I liked it, some of the information. You wouldn't believe how interesting viruses are, especially for the development of human life. Um, in this number, we see a lot of pictures about photography, about still photography, um, also some coverage about. Um, let's keep the virus, some coverage about the migration of women. Almost half of the people migrating every year are women. Why is that? It's connected to poverty, it's connected to racism, to a lot of climate change, and I'll cover that too. And also quite beautiful story about the Osa Peninsula from Costa Rica. Um, it's like Eden. It's so protected. It's so preserved. Only that due to COVID, the tourism really suffered, and we have a couple of interesting facts about how people turn into illegal mining, into drugs, even on this paradise island. I will make a more in-depth review of this in the upcoming uh, footage, and I want you to know that uh, I I get what's happening in the world right now, and I think it's important to understand what's happening, but in the same time, I must admit that when I see a subject with a virus, with pandemic, with COVID, I'm a bit like, I don't wanna read it anymore. It's so much, it's too much. But nevertheless, I will show you what's the story about, and hopefully you will love it as much as I did. See you later. Bye. I would have loved not to have National Geographic cover viruses again, but well, it's the pandemic, so I guess it's the hot topic now. But I really loved a certain portion of the virus coverage, and I'll tell you exactly which is when we'll get to that. Yeah, so let's dive right into it. What I really liked about this number was that I found so many new things about our DNA. Actually, 8% of our DNA it's composed of viruses, of actually ghosts of viruses. So life wouldn't be possible without viruses, actually, and that's not nice to hear, but well, that's the way it is. Um, and we have all sorts of coverages. It starts with this this macro photo made by Gabriel Sherban, a Romanian photographer. He got bored. He got bored during the lockdown, during this craziness, and he decided to go to the museum and to make pictures of the plants there. I really liked this project just because the amount of detail and when you see how beautiful plants are, it's fascinating. It's so lovely to see the detail. I guess that he admitted that during the quarantine and during the lockdown and the pandemic and everything, a lot of people discovered the beauty of small things, and definitely in photography, of making pictures of small things, it's quite lovely. The next story talks about it's like a metaphor, like a comparison between nature and the idea of freedom, how nature actually shows us a very important principle of hierarchy and evolution, and the way that things evolve in nature also evolve in societies, and there is a rise and a fall. And what is freedom? Why freedom and evolution are important, and diversity? It's important because freedom allows evolution, and I agree with that. Just as a comparison, the quantity of fuel consumed is directly proportional with the annual wealth. So the movement of people and the economy are two faces of the same coin. This is the story of a guy trying to save the turtles from Senegal. Thomas Dian, actually he devoted 25 years to study these animals and trying to save them. Quite important. This is the new improved toilet by NASA, just because so many women they go into space, and NASA actually tried to solve the problem of the women, and they managed to make this toilet quite functional, because they thought about the female anatomy. Go NASA. And this is the image of a cow who has two eyes painted on the bottom. Because farmers from Botswana, they are trying to save their cattle from attacks. So they discovered that the felines, if they notice they are being watched, they stop hunting the animals. Oh, people can be so ingenious. This is the image of a butterfly, and actually the scientists are trying to figure out what substance makes the wings of the butterfly to be so waterproof. It's actually it's like a coat of wax-like substance. You know. I really love this story. It tries to explain the way volcanic lightnings are being formed, and I was thinking about how wonderful would it be if humanity would discover a way to use this electricity and to store it somehow for our own use. Can you imagine? We would have like no more electricity bills. In this image, you can see a lot of tools. These are the tools used by Brittany Nicole Cox. She repairs watches, like antique watches, really old kind of watches, and she shows in here how a lot of her equipment is quite old age, and that's fascinating. It's such a beautiful job. Too bad it's like almost extinct. This is the story of people from the southwest of China, more particularly the story of people living near the rivers Nu, Jinsha, and Langkang. This region is included in the UNESCO like world mapping, and in 2008 Fritz Hoffmann went there um, to document the lives of these people. Nu actually means angry in Chinese. uh, Definitely looks like a very angry river, and people have to cross it on this rope, and this is like the cattle, and I can't imagine like they have no other alternatives. If you haven't been aware of this fact yet, you will find out now that there are people who are surfing in the winter. Yes. Where is this happening? In Lofoten Island in Norway. Uh, I have no idea how they are pulling this off, but they are doing it. They are doing it, and um, I think I don't know if I would do it, but it looks kind of fun, and actually this Lofoten Island received the distinction of sustainable destination, just because they're very good at preserving nature. Lovely. So here we go. This is the very vast coverage of the virus. Why is this image of a fetus on top of this? Well, it seems that in our DNA there are a couple of genes responsible for the state of pregnancy, more exactly for the formation of the placenta, and that is happening because of some retrovirus um, remains from our ancestors in our DNA. So practically, we couldn't have babies if we wouldn't have a part of our DNA contaminated like with viruses. Yeah. This is the image of a diver from the aquarium of the Pacific from Long Beach, California, and he is holding like the image of a type of a virus that infects bacteria. So yeah, and they are actually quite necessary for the health of ecosystems. In this tank alone, there are 5.32 quadrillion viruses. If you put them next to one another, they would surround the Earth almost 8 times. So this diver is practically swimming in a sea of viruses. Oh, if you think about this like that, it's so yucky. But wow. Um, Scientists discover 152 genes that we have inherited from Neanderthal people that are helping our immunitary system. So we have like this part of our DNA composed of viruses, and we're like, so like viruses are bad, but they're not. Actually, it's they are part of us. They are part of us. We couldn't live without them. And there is like a quote here. It's saying like we could not lift from our primordial soup without them. Yeah. So without viruses, women could not get pregnant. It's practically part of the DNA. Fascinating. And did you know that mammals can carry almost 320,000 species of viruses? So I bet there are some like bacteria and stuff like even on the pages of my magazine. there are theories about viruses. How did they appear? How did they evolve? Um, all sorts of hypotheses. Like some people say that they should not be included in the tree of life because they're not alive. Some people say that viruses have been the first, like parts of the genes of the genome escaped from the cells and they got crazy, and that's the virus. Some people say that viruses appeared when cells got smaller and smaller. Uh, and yeah, there are all sorts of theories uh, about them. It's quite hard. This is the picture of a human embryon with 8 cells, and the scientists discovered that an endogen retrovirus is activating during this stage of development, and it's producing proteins. And this gene called HERV-K, it could protect the embryon from the viral infection. Wow, so when you are becoming a baby, the virus is helping you not be attacked by the viral infection. That's fascinating. So, so yeah. Another picture. I must specify that this photography with the human embryons have been made by the Swedish photographer Lennart Nilsson. He had made revolutionary efforts to photograph the human infant before birth, and he has been like amazing. Like there are no other photographers who managed to do this so well like he did, and it's fascinating to watch this human life in here, knowing that it will become like a person. And it's fascinating quite. And there are genes of viral origin helping women like get into this pregnancy state. And yeah, you could not believe it. It sounds unbelievable when you think about it, but it's true. It's so true. It's beautiful, actually. These two genes are syncytin 1 and syncytin 2. They are contributing to form the placenta, and they are like preventing your immunity system to treat the fetus like a parasite, like an intruder. This is the image of the conserved lungs of a 2-year-old girl who died in 1912 at a hospital from Berlin because of the smallpox. And this is the evidence that the smallpox got from cattle to humans. So some viruses can actually migrate from animals to humans. Pictures with a lot of colorful viruses. I must admit that I like the color of the viruses. They're so colorful. I suppose that this is how they look like for real. And this is like tuberculosis, and this is like smallpox, and they're colorful. I could give them that. This is like, in this part we enter the COVID theory, and from where, how, I won't get into it. It's just enough enough COVID. The next story is about the women who are migrating. I was blown away to find out that almost half of the people who migrate every year, they are like women. Almost like, it's incredible. And they are doing this because of poverty, because of discrimination, wars, all kind of reasons. And in this story,
They are tracking 4 women from different areas to the new place of residence from Somalia, from Honduras, from Vietnam, and from Myanmar. And from Honduras, they go to Mexico, from Vietnam to Singapore, from Myanmar to Australia. And these are like the stories of 4 women who are leaving for different reasons. Um, in Somalia, this woman decided to leave because the drought killed all of her animals and she lost any source of income. Quite sad. And because of this, a lot of kids don't get to go to school, and it's sad, but in the same time the parents are realizing that you can no longer live from being a shepherd, and they have to insist for the kids to learn, and the families are trying to do this on their own. Like, yeah. The next story is of a transgender woman. She's Catalea. She's 28. She's like a pariah in her native city, San Pedro Sula from Honduras. Her mother rejected her. Her brother beat her, and she really wanted to escape to walk away from there. Unfortunately, I was very sad to find out that um, just before the COVID pandemic, she tried to get her visa and her asylum in the United States, and actually they closed the borders just before her file could be accepted, and she had to go back. Um, so sad, so sad. In here, it's the story of a woman from Vietnam having an arranged marriage. She got married almost 11 years ago with a guy from Singapore, and she's miserable, but she's afraid to get a divorce because in there, men, like, they have to renew your visa every 2 years, and if you want to get separated, the man gets the children and you are like out, you are like done. Women have no rights there. It's, can't believe it's happening, but it does. And there are all sorts of like marriage agencies that are promising women to escape poverty. And oh, I was amazed to find out that the women are like stating, I want a monthly amount of money like $370, and he negotiated up to 220. I find it so, like, I can't believe it, but how can you, I don't know, I just, it's so sad, it's so sad. And this is the last story of the woman from Myanmar moving to Australia, just because she had a different religion, and it's 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 again unbelievable, but it's happening, and racism is real, and all people should realize that it's not good. It's not good, and we should all accept each other for what we are. The next story is about the Osa Peninsula from Costa Rica. It's a description of how the authorities managed to prevent the COVID from spreading, because they were very drastic when they found out about the pandemic, and they closed the borders and everything, but tourism really suffered because of that. And it's it's this thing, you want to protect the nature, you don't want to cut the forests, you want everything to be good, but in the same time you depend on the land. So what do you do? Like if the tourism it's gone, it's off the table. What do you put on the table? Not very easy. Definitely not very easy. This is like the picture of the botanist Ruth Mary Pilko-Horkaya. She's getting seeds of nutmeg from a tree. This image shows how diverse and how rich is the Osa Peninsula from Costa Rica. It's one of the regions with the highest biodiversity from the entire planet. Unbelievable. I'd love to go there and to see it for myself. This is the image of a puma. Because of this COVID and because of the poverty, a lot of people started to mine illegally, but there are a rare breed of people who are trying to do this by hand. I can't imagine how much money you could be making by trying to manually get gold from the river, but it is what it is. At least they're trying, and the government is not doing so many things about this. To get you an idea of how efficient the Costa Rica authorities have been towards the COVID, they stopped all the international trips, but by the end of November, when the United States suffered 264,000 deaths, Costa Rica had only 1,600, but the tourism industry actually collapsed and people ran out of money. And what is happening is that illegal mining is coming back, deforestation is coming back, drug dealing is getting back. It's not good. This this image shows the next story, which is about monuments and about racism and about how in the United States a lot of the monuments are being like too much on the white side, if you know what I mean. And after what happened with Black Lives Matter and everything, people got annoyed and they started to notice, and a lot of the monuments got changed because of that, because there is like this this supremacy of the white people, which is like almost, I don't know, everywhere. It's not fair. So some things started to change, and I'm happy that they did, because diversity is important, and there have been a lot of people making important impact on society, which are like Latino, Spanish, black, not only white. So it's very good that here we have a couple of examples of recent monuments trying to correct this unbalance when it comes to praising, and yeah, that's very, very good. We have to allow diversity to happen. So this is it, guys. This is the February number of National Geographic magazine. Hope that you enjoyed this review, and see you next time. Bye.